Welcome to the most unseen, most seen, underappreciated, overappreciated podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. How you doing, boss?
Oh man, good to be here. Good to be here.
Good to have you, man. So, we had a nice little discussion yesterday and got us talking about, acting and, what is the career like in entertainment? And so, before we get into anything, just introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are and, your journey so far.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Dimitri Dewes Jr. on YouTube, known as Mr. DJ. MISTER DJAY-MDJ. You can catch me on there. I make gaming videos. I do podcasts as well, and commentaries, things like that. I'm also an actor. I do theater. I've done background where I know Percy from, different things like that. It's a part-time banker, but a full-time creator.
You believe this guy? He's out here plugging his stuff without consent? Ridiculous. Oh, my. Mr. Wakanda forever, man. I swear to God.
Hey, man.
Wakanda forever.
Oh, my God. I swear to God, I wish people could see who you look like because you look exactly like this guy. I'm blanking on his name. What is his name again?
Chadwick Boseman.
God, you
Chadwick Boseman.
exactly like him.
Yo, bro, ever since I think we were on that set that one time and then people were saying that, I've gotten that nonstop since then, bro. Like, I even work with somebody and she calls me Chadwick, like all the time, bro.
So actually, since we're talking about it, let's just get right into it. Background, since I said you look like Chadwick, one of the things I was thinking about is maybe you could do a stand-in for him, but as we talk about stand-ins and backgrounds, what is your opinions about it? And, we worked a few times and we've done a few shows, especially, Spike Lee.
Right.
What do you like about it? What do you don't like about it?
What I like about it is this, and this is my advice to anybody who says, they want to get into acting and all of that, is basically it's good in terms of if you've never been in that environment, you're somebody who loves to watch television, you love to watch movies, and you want to know what it's like to be in the mix and be in that environment, then great. I would advise anybody to do that. That's one of the things that I like is, just being involved in the process, seeing the cameras, the production, the actors, you get to see them, what they look like in person. And 9 times out of 10, we're both, 6'3" plus, I'm 6'4.5", almost 6'5". So it's kind of like a lot of these guys, they look real small, but you get to meet, a lot of other people, like-minded individuals who got the same goals, same aspirations. I mean, you and I, that's how we click, on set of She's Gotta Have It, like 2 summers ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, for me, for a little backstory, I've been doing acting for almost 12 years now, mostly working with professional theater companies in New York. And it was one of those things where I've always envied TV, never really got into it. And so when I was in the middle of college, I decided, I want to, change career paths because obviously there's a little more money in TV and film acting than there is theater. And unless you're doing musical theater, of course. So
right.
She's Gotta Have what probably have been my third anything related to TV and film. The first thing I've ever did was it was a short film called Someone Get McGee. Everybody Loves McGee. And in that role was originally supposed to be a background role. But what happened was that one of the lead actors decided to drop out the morning of. So I got a call from the director and he said, hey, I got a couple lines. Would you like to, film with us today? And no experience, no training in TV and film. And I got to say, it was one of the most brutal things I've ever done. Not because it was hard, but because there's a difference between theater acting and film acting.
Big difference.
And we're going to get into that in a second, but not to go off topic, so She's Gotta Have It was my first background gig. And it was fun. That's how I met you. I met a few other people I don't really talk to, but it was a fun way to learn how sets look like, how they film, what kind of equipment they use, and how many people is involved. Because that's another thing a lot of people don't realize, especially when you come from theater, you're so used to maybe an ensemble cast where it's like 10, 12 people.
Group, yeah,
But when
small
you
group.
do any type of big production, you're looking at least 100 people involved, at least. As we talk about background, what is one of the best? One of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of upcoming actors and people who aren't necessarily involved in the entertainment business have is that you get to meet all these famous people and you get to hang out with them, and you can get your big break from doing background. And obviously that's not the case anymore. But what do you think? Because I know you talked about some of your friends who think that's the case.
Yeah, it does not. Newsflash: it does not work like that. I'll repeat one more time: it does not work like that. Okay, when you go to an autograph signing, you don't go up to the person and say, "Hey, can you put me in a movie? Can you put?" It doesn't work like that. All right, when you're an actor, anything in life, you got to work from the ground up. You got to do your due diligence. You have to have certain credentials in place. That's how it is. If you want to be a dentist and you go to the dentist office and say, "Hey, I want to be a dentist. Can I have a job?" Well, there are certain things you got to do before you qualify for that job. It's the same thing that goes for being an actor. There's certain things you have to do, have, and be to qualify for certain jobs. Okay, it's just how it is. You know what I'm talking about,
absolutely.
bro. That's how it is.
Absolutely.
That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is. So for people who and usually it's mostly the people that don't do what we do, that don't know what it's like, that doesn't know what it's like to be in that environment, are the ones who have that very misguided, false misconception of what it takes to be an actor and how people actually get to be on screen. It doesn't work.
Absolutely, man. Let me tell you. So one of the questions someone asked me for my job was, how's background? Is it fun? Can you get lines from it? And one of the things I always say is, no, background is only for one, if you need money for, regular people who just, want an extra side hustle. That's one good way to do it. And a second reason to do it is just to learn the business. It's not really there for you to try to meet with Spike Lee and try to get some lines. And I would say, I'm fortunate, I've been put in a good position where I remember I was doing background for Tell Me a Story, and Billy Magnuson, one of the leads, he was doing a scene. It was a club scene, and I was behind him, and I forgot how exactly we started talking, but we had a nice little 5-minute conversation just talking, and because of that, he didn't see me forcing myself into his lap to try to get a line. He was like, "Hey, I like your energy. Can we include him in a scene somehow?" And then I end up getting screen time for that. But it's one of those things where, it was fun. And, in the moment it was like, yes, I'm doing something. But in the grand scheme of things, when they go edit the stuff, there's a chance that you won't even make the cut. And let alone, it's just one of those things where, again, you're a background actor. You're not the main focus. You're not there to upstage the actors. So take with it if you will. Some people get lucky, but the days of that are not happening.
9 times out of 10, them days is over. And I'm glad you clarified that, because somebody will listen to this and think, "Oh, well, I might get lucky too." The odds of that happening are slim to none. Like, you are there to do one specific thing. I like to look at background as like this. You take a goldfish, right? Let's say you take like 30 goldfish, because typically when you do background, it's like, they'll have like 10, maybe 15 union actors and then like 30 non-union. So you take all of those actors and then you put them in a small jar, right? So let's keep the goldfish analogy. Then you take that goldfish jar and then you throw it out into the ocean. Sure, they're in the ocean, but they're relegated to that little jar and they can't go anywhere. That's exactly how it is when you're background, because depending on how you get the gig, they tell you on the hotline, do not talk to the principal actors. Don't talk to this person.
Absolutely.
That's how it is. When I went and did I did background work on BlacKkKlansman, union background. But I didn't speak to Spike Lee once. And I wasn't trying to talk to him either, because I was there to do what they asked me to be there for. And then that's it. So you take that experience for what it is, and that's that.
One of the things you mentioned as we go along in this, I want to bring this up. You mentioned non-union and union actors, and for people who don't know, for union actors, those are individuals who are a part of SAG-AFTRA, which is the union for actors. And so there's a difference in pay scale. So when you go into background, someone who isn't in a union, Your pay is going to be a lot different. It's not going to be a lot more opportunities. Right. Whereas like a union person gets paid double the amount, and they also get not penalty pay, but they get better craft service, and they also have better overtime pay. Yeah. And let alone not even that too. Yeah. But what happens is union people also get better background opportunities, meaning you could be a stand-in for a celebrity. You can you can have a special skill and get paid for that. Whereas a non-union actor, you're pretty much just, individual number 68 or, background actor number 550.
Yep. And then you just take your number, sit down, wait to get called on set, go to set, do some more standing and sitting down, whatever it is, and then that's it. When you're union, you might get the better opportunities where you'll get like a featured spot. So you could be the best friend to the main character, different things like that. So you may get, some camera time, but
and just to keep in mind for people who wants to get into backgrounds, specifically actors, go into it just to learn. Don't go into it thinking, all right, they're gonna call me back to do something else, or I'm gonna try to get my one-hit wonder or try to get Insta famous. It's not gonna happen. There's too many legal contracts and too many things that the companies can't afford to lose. So background is just exactly what it is. You're there to make the scene happen. There's a reason why when you watch TV shows, you see people in the coffee shop, but they don't speak. You don't hear anybody unless they have a line. Then they're actually acting the show. But
you're there to aid the scene. You're part of the scene. That's it. That's it. So you're there to help bring the scene, give the scene life. Because obviously, if they're in a restaurant and it's just the two principal actors and there's no one in the restaurant, the scene has no life. Yeah, you might, you know what I'm saying? You might not be able to bring across that scene a certain way without background. So in one aspect, background is important because in every single movie that you see, there's always background. Yeah. You need background. So, but that's your role. And like I said, I was fine with that for a while, because I had been doing background for a while, before I met you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's cool, up until a certain point. But if your goal, like we said before, if your goal is to eventually be on screen, you there's only but so much about it.
And so as we speak about background, one thing I want to especially mention, what background is, if you're an actor, do not put that on your resume because people will find out that you're a liar. And you're gonna, people aren't gonna want to work with you, because, we did background for, She's Gotta Have It, and Spike Lee was the director. Of course, that was fun, that was entertaining. But if you put that on your resume that you was a featured player or you played a basketball guy, and then it looks pathetic because when they go watch the episodes and they can't find a trace of you, or they see that you're just the guy in the background, in a 1 second shot. It's a slap in the face, and it's a line to people in the industry. Yeah. It takes away from the hard work that people who do have lines have. So people frown upon the background on your resume. Yeah.
And the thing is, we were there at the same time as Spike Lee, but we didn't work with Spike Lee. Honestly, I would honestly say in retrospect that I worked for the background casting agency that sent me over there. So I really worked for them. I didn't work Spike. I didn't work with Spike Lee. The people who work with Spike Lee are obviously, the product, the crew, and then the principal actors. I didn't talk to him. You know what I'm saying? We didn't talk to him. We were just there in the environment. You get to watch, you get to take mental notes, but we didn't work with him. At the end of the day, and it kind of, you have to do it for a while to kind of look at it that way, and also aspire for more to really see it for what it is. Because there's certain people who they do background and they keep doing it now because the money is good and they're content with that. That's great. Background is fun. If you do the right, production, you work on the right film, it could be fun. I've had a lot of fun on background, doing background sometimes, but like I was saying, if you aspire for more, nah. And it's pathetic, to put it on your resume.
It just don't look good.
And I've done it before. You're talking to somebody who's done it before. That's the thing. So
it's definitely so. One piece of advice I would give new actors, and let me put this, in here that, we're not Tom Cruise, we're not Denzel Washington, but we've done it, we've been there, and we're still working our way up the ladder, but we're just trying to help other upcomers and people in the same, bracket as us, try to achieve higher purposes in their career. But one thing I would say in regarding background is there's just a learning opportunity. If you want credits on your resume, if you want to have a good resume, you have to go out there and do student films, feature films. And a lot of times most of the time they're not paid until you have a good solid resume. So just keep that in mind. I know sometimes, you want to do certain things and certain gigs won't pick you up because you don't have a resume. But there's always student films. There's always small indie films. There's always some bigger feature films. Things that I've done all three. And you got commercials. There's many ways to go about it. Just don't do background.
Many doors. Just don't do background for too long, because I tell you, the first time, or maybe I say the third time I did background, I was on was it Shades of Blue, the Jennifer Lopez show, and I talked to a guy, and I was like, oh, how long you've been doing background for? And then he said, oh, I did background for Jungle Fever back in 1991. So heads up, also, it's a web that you can get caught up in. You know what I'm saying? You can either get caught up in the contentment of doing it and just being involved and feeling like you're doing something and having something to brag about to people who don't do it. But you don't want to be doing that forever.
No, absolutely. And this comes down to, not to call anybody out, but I've seen actors on Instagram, and I'm guilty of it too. I've done it before, where you do background, but you don't, you make it seem like, you had a lead role. And I remember one time after She's Gotta Have It, I took a couple of pictures. I was standing next to Spike Lee, so I was able to sneak a picture, which again is not allowed. But come on, man. I plead the fifth. I'm not incriminating myself. But it's one of those things where, it feels good to be in the moment, especially when you see these big time celebrities. But just remember, you're just there to make them look good and, have fun. And, to branch off from background, because we don't want to talk about background too long. It'll get boring. But, talk about your journey as an actor from, evolving from background to theater and, student films and any kind of other films and productions you did. And what's the difference for you?
I think the main, difference for me, between, on-screen work and theater is that with theater, you get that direct feedback from the audience. So let's say, if you have dialogue that they think is funny, I always feed off that energy, and then it really gets me going. But sometimes, there's other nights where it might not be like that. When you're on camera, you don't get any feedback at all. I mean, I guess the blessing in disguise with film work is that you get takes, so you get a chance to kind of do something over again. I mean, depending on whatever director is looking for. But that's really just the main difference with me between.
Yeah, so for me, and this is gonna go to my next point, but growing up doing Shakespeare and a lot of contemporary plays, the acting is more dramatic. You have to be bigger. You have to take the stage more because, sometimes it can be 10 people on stage, but most of the time it's usually 1 or 2 people. And when you're performing in front of a big crowd or even a small crowd, but usually you're in a big space, you have to fill the room. You have to, pronounce your words better. You have to, you have to have a good presence. And that's why I was good at theater. And then one thing I realized with TV and film is that, yes, a lot of, agents and stuff appreciate theater. Not so much in LA. We'll talk about that in a second. But you had to take classes for TV and film because I thought it was going to be an easy transition. But everything is a lot more subtle. Everything is a lot more inside than it is outside. So that's the difference for me. Theater is more about putting on a show, and TV and film actors more about having a character inside and being able to have a normal conversation like you was talking, like we're having right now.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Speaking of Shakespeare, I didn't even know I had a knack for Shakespeare until the last play that I did back in February. It was called the Death of King Shot Away, and we performed portions of Othello, which is, I guess you could say, my favorite Shakespeare play, only because of the Lawrence Fishburne film. And yeah, no, I love Shakespeare. Just quick side
I
note.
love Shakespeare, man. It's always funny when you gotta I did Hamlet, and the lead actor he was a skinny white kid, and so when you see this big dark 240-pound chocolate man come on stage, you're like, who the hell is that? What is he doing to Shakespeare? But again, with theater, you can people kind of forget about all of that. People don't judge, and they just want to. It's all about giving people a show, and so.
Take their minds away from their reality. They get to escape reality for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
2
so
hours.
One of the biggest things I want to talk about is the difference between New York and LA, and I wanted to talk about that because a lot of people, including me, because I recently moved to LA, closing in on a year now. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to move in LA to pursue a career in acting, and I can tell you right now, I've only been here for a certain amount of time, and I achieved a certain, a good amount of success, but it is not what you think. Mm-hmm. So just, let's talk about New York for a second. What have you noticed in the industry that you like or don't like?
I can't really say what I do and don't like about the industry, but what I can say is that my perception of New York is kind of that it's the mecca of theater. You know what I mean? So that's how people perceive it. And then like LA is more so television and film, and kind of you can do both. It's more so what you're doing with where you're at versus where you are, if you get what I'm saying, and how much on the grind you actually are where you're at. You get what I'm saying?
It's so I was actually talking when I first met my agent. We was talking about that. New York, if you're gonna come to LA, make sure you're not trying to pursue theater, because theater is not really looked upon in a high regard in LA, and that's just the truth. No. So I'm not really looking to do any theater stuff, because in New York is more acceptable. More productions want to meet people who done theater. It's different. It's a different environment. Different people. Is more of a hustle and bustle kind of city where everybody's working. Everybody got side hustles. Everybody's trying to do this and do that. And unfortunately in LA, in LA, it's not the same. People come out here and unprepared, and they realize that the dream is slipping further away from them than it is coming to them. And so, exactly.
They didn't plan for anything. It's like, we were talking about this yesterday. You don't jump out of a plane without a chute. You don't go skydiving without a parachute. You prepare for your landing. This is just, it's stupid to think that you can just go out to LA and, I'm going to become famous, or if I'm going to try look for, no. Just like how I said in the beginning of this podcast, that there's certain things that you need to do. There's certain things you need to do before you go over there. It's like a video game. There's levels to this. You can't just go to level 5 and you still have level 1 stats. You're not gonna make it.
Absolutely,
you're not gonna make it. You don't bite. That's biting off more than you can chew. Anybody that's listening to this and you want to be an actor, don't do it unless you have the proper things in place. Like I said, Price is gonna talk about it because he's the prime example of somebody who you go out to LA and you have certain things in place before you go out there. So when you go, it's not hard. It's a little bit smoother. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of struggle, but at the end of the day, if you did the proper planning, things should be okay. It should be smooth sailing. It shouldn't be storming.
Yeah. So let me get into that. So the reason why I said come to LA, and you agree with this because we talked about this before, but come to LA with a plan and be prepared, because here's the thing: in New York, it's easier to go to Columbia and there's always casting something. And when you come to LA, it's harder to do certain things because everything is more spread out. So in New York, you can just take the MTA to Brooklyn, to Queens, to Manhattan, and it's fine, and that's easy. Yeah, exactly. You can take the A train straight to where you want to go. In LA, everything's so spread out. So do you really want to be traveling 3 hours for a free gig when you could be at work making money? No. And so a lot of people get stuck into this thing where they move here without a plan. They don't have their headshots, their resume. They don't have anything prepared. And then they realize it's harder to get those things because, one, you got to worry about paying rent, which, LA is very expensive. So a lot of people are stuck working. And then also, two, is travel. A lot of traffic. There's no public transportation like New York. And so a lot of people don't want to be traveling, 35, up to 40, to 2 hours in traffic for a free gig,
And real quick, for y'all listeners out there, see, I didn't even know this. See, Percy told me yesterday that gas out in LA is $4.
Yeah, bro.
Freaking dollars. Okay. I ain't going out there. Okay. Not right now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick side note. So it's $4. So if you're somebody that, I want to go to LA,
$4, man.
Okay. That's a big fucking deal, and that's the least of your worries in the grand scheme of the pursuit and grind of being fucking active.
Yeah, okay? It is not cheap to live here, and that's another thing too. If you're gonna come out here, come with some type of finance budget or something, because you're gonna move out here and you're gonna realize from deposits to workshops and to for house things, for gas, for food. You're going to be running a big bill in such a short amount of time, and you'll realize, yes, you can go to certain places where acting class is more affordable, but again, you got to drive a lot of places. You can't just hop on the A train and take it straight to Flatbush. You're going to have to either take an Uber, which is, sometimes can be affordable, but it's an expense that you're going to have to incur. So just think about that, especially for actors. You're going to be doing a lot of driving, but another thing too about moving to LA is that, everybody think it's glamorous. And I'll tell you straight up right now, there's going to be days where you want to just quit and you want to go home because unfortunately LA is so spread out. So it's not easy. When you watch movies and TV shows, for instance, they make it seem like it's a big old brand party that is a big old frat house. And you're going to spend most of the time either at your house or in your car. And so unless you live in a luxurious place like, Beverly Hills, or you live in the Valleys, which is North Hollywood, a lot of times you're going to be away from everything. So you're going to have to commit to, driving there or possibly finding ways to move there. But it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Long story short, it ain't no glamour unless you're already on and you're rich or you're wealthy. Ain't no glamour, if you're an actor and you just going over there. So you have to have a realistic, perspective of what you're getting into. Because I don't want to say you're an idiot if you think that that's what it's going to be like, if you go over there, but it's idiotic to think so. So it doesn't make you an idiot, but it's idiotic and foolish to think that, I'm going to, No, because you haven't done anything. Ain't no glamour over there. Ain't no glamour. It ain't no glamour in New York either, unless you're rich.
Bro, let me tell you, man. Everybody, you come to LA, and anybody who's thinking about moving here, you'll see this as soon as you move here. Everybody's an actor. Everybody's in the entertainment business, but they have nothing going for them. They don't work. They don't have an agent. They don't have anything. And that's another reason why I say come prepared, because unfortunately, there's so many people here who are quote unquote actors, who are all about the business, but they don't have any reels, no headshots, no resumes. And agents are slowly moving away from picking up new fresh faces unless it's like commercial work. So if you're really trying to get a lead role on, for a Netflix show, you have to have your materials when you get here, because it's a lot easier to come here. And, specifically for me, I moved in, and within 3 months, I got my agent. The first time I've ever had one, but I came prepared. Exactly,
because you were already prepared. Prepared. Why the fuck could you go over there and you don't have anything? Would you apply to Harvard and you don't have the right credentials to apply over there? Like, you don't have the GPA, you don't have the appropriate transcript. If you wouldn't do that. So if you wouldn't do that, then why would you do? You see what I'm saying? Like, because people don't people don't view acting as like a profession. You get it's a profession.
Right.
It's a job. It's a job. Just like you're a lawyer, just like you're a doctor. It's a job that you have to qualify for. And then even if you do have the credentials, there's no guarantee that when you go to audition, you're gonna get it.
Yo, bro, let me tell you something. You know,
man, it just gets me worked up a little bit because some people, they don't get it. You know what I mean? And I had a whole long debate with somebody, which is kind of why I got back with Percy. I had to call him for that because some people, they don't get it out here. Some of y'all don't get it.
Yeah, bro. It's one of those things where a lot of people just see the money and they see the fame and they think, oh, you know, tomorrow I'm gonna book something, then I'm gonna get a Lamborghini, and that is not the case. There's only maybe 5% people can make it in the business. You want to be in the 5%? Come ready, come professional, because a lot of
there's that. And then there's also the saying, which is kind of a cliche because of social media and probably how many times you've probably seen a certain meme, but don't do things in life for the money. Don't do things in life. I mean, obviously you're going to do things in life for bread, but it shouldn't be money is not what gets you up in the morning, because then it's not. It's not. Do not do things in life for clout. Do not do things in life for money, because it's not going to sustain you. It's not. I don't know if you ever seen like this video that was on social media, like back in, I say 2017, 2018, where there was this black kid and he was a Best Buy employee and he was talking about the difference between juice and sauce. Like the difference between juice and sauce. Have you ever heard that before? Okay, so basically, it's like let's say what's your favorite juice? Like your favorite juice, like just to buy. If you went to the grocery store right now, I'm going with cranberry. The juice that you buy? Okay, so if you went to Stop and Shop or ShopRite, whatever it is that they have in LA, I'm pretty sure they got some crazy shit out there. But let's say if you went and you got cranberry juice, how long would that last you now? Be realistic. Be real. If this is your favorite juice, how long does it last?
Probably like 2 days, not even.
2 days? Okay. All right. Well, so I used to drink Minute Maid, freaking fruit punch, tropical punch all the fucking time. And that shit wouldn't last a day because I would drink it like just super quick. So to now connect the dots, the equivalent to doing things in life motivated by money and clout is the equivalent to you buying your favorite juice and that shit not lasting a day. It is not going to last you. Period. You wouldn't want to run on something that's only going to last you 2 days, last you a matter of hours. But if you get sauce, which is the passion and actual drive and love for doing shit, it's going to last you a lot longer. That's going to last you a lot longer than that. That's some real shit. So anybody who's really listening to this, live by that.
Freaking Wakanda Forever over here, spitting facts over here. You believe this guy?
This is Wakanda knowledge. Wakanda information. Wakanda information. Wakanda forever.
This guy. I'm gonna have to George Floyd you real quick, man.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This George Floyd. What are you talking about? I never freeze.
Yo, man, this guy. Yo, you know.
You gonna put me in that Black Panther 2 sequel, man. I got that.
Yeah, you're gonna be police officer number 65.
Police officer number 65.
I swear to God, you got Chadwick Boseman on the line.
Hey, man, might as well. Hey, the only reason people think I look like Chadwick Boseman is because he stole my haircut. I always had hair. Then he got hair after that. Then just people made the comparison, and then ever since then, hey, Chadwick.
Unfortunately, because he's more well known, you're gonna be known as his copycat. Unfortunately.
Until further notice.
But it's cool because I tell people like Chris Hemsworth, got his looks from me, and people believe it. People believe it. It's just like when Tom Cruise calls me, when we're done with the podcast, Tom Cruise is gonna call me, ask me for advice on how to look better looking. I'm gonna have to give it to him. It's not easy being Percy out here. But
I think Percy, he's got the Uncle Ruckus syndrome. I think he's got reverse vitiligo, bro.
What I look like Michael Jackson?
Wait, have you ever seen that episode? Did you ever used to watch
I never got into it.
All right, so basically, there's this character on Boondocks called Uncle Ruckus, and he's a black guy that's racist against black people. And then there's an episode where he's telling the white people, "I have reverse vitiligo," meaning so that he was born white, and then he had blotches on his skin, and then he just became blacker than black. He's like, I got the reverse vitiligo. You know what I'm saying?
I plead the fifth, man. I'm not answering that question. I'm not, I
hear you, brother. I hear you, man.
But as we talked about, people moving here without a plan. That's what goes into the fact that I said there's a lot of people who call themselves actors, because a lot of people want to be actors, but they don't have nothing going for them. They don't come prepared. They, agents don't want to talk to them, so they can't get in the room with Netflix and HBO and all these big companies. And so be aware that when you come out here, it's tough. There's a lot of people out here who's trying to make it, and unfortunately, one of the biggest reasons why I hate LA is people are very not only flaky, but they have this idea that they're better than everybody, and so
fake.
It's
fake.
Oh, fake 100%, man. You thought plastic surgery was fake. You guys meet some of these people out here. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so if people think that the industry, like the entertainment industry, is smoke and mirrors, you already experience that every day with other people, especially like other people who want to be actors. Is smoke and mirrors. And I don't know if this was another topic that we could talk about, but I will say this too. If you're an actor, stop going up to other actors and ask them, "How did you do this? How did you do that? Can you help me? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me?" Before you even know how their day is going. Do not ask me. Do not ask Percy. Do not ask anybody else that's an actor how you do this, how you do that before you even know them. To me, that's like an unspoken law amongst people who are actors and performers, whatever. Don't ask them shit. All right. If people choose to volunteer your information, they'll volunteer you. Consider this whole podcast a blessing, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't tell you shit.
It's one of those things, and we talked about this, and this is why I say LA is fake. Because a lot of people, again, have this idea that they want to be rich and famous, be a famous actor. And so what they do is they try to act like your friend, and then, they try to find out who you know or who you might associate with. And then when they find out, they want to leech off you. And they don't even they don't even call to ask you, how you doing, how's, progression going, how's life going. They just want to know about, when you going to dinner with, Tom Hanks, or
people like that deserve to be pepper sprayed. I think what would make us rich, bro, like a good side business, if we come up with like a raid, bug spray, but for people who are fake, fake ass actors and shit. Yo, probably it's a good idea. That's a good idea. You need shit like that. Y'all deserve to be pepper sprayed. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Because life doesn't work. Life does not work like that. You get up, you got to go to work, right? There's no one else who makes money for you. There's no one else who makes money for me. You got to get up and do it yourself. It's the same thing with everything in life. So just get out that narrative that there's going to be that this one person was going to put you on. That could happen, because everybody's story is different, but that doesn't happen all the time. That doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time.
And it's one of those things. So,
y'all listeners,
and it's
get
one
off
of those things that's increasingly been, something that a lot of Hollywood people are catching on, because they find out, everybody wants to be their friend, and then all they're really trying to do is just try to get a line in a movie or something, and then they cut you off. And so a lot of industry people, they're not going to really pay you no mind until they see that you're professional, that they see you're about your work. And that's why a lot of agents don't pick up people either, because they want to pick up people who know they can rely on, that they know they're going to get up every day.
Love what they do. Who love what they do.
They're not just out here trying to book the biggest gig they can. That's not how it works.
Yeah. It's not how it works. FYI, fame and fortune, is a byproduct of it. I'm pretty sure if you ask Samuel L. Jackson, what he would be doing if he wasn't rich and famous, I'm pretty sure he'd still be an actor. Okay? Because I didn't even know this until within the last year and a half or so, that Samuel L. Jackson didn't get Coming to America, which is kind of one of his first roles, I say, prior to Do the Right Thing and Pulp Fiction and all the stuff that we know him from, like Jungle Fever and all of that, until he was 40 something years old.
Man, yeah.
So back in the day, you take a time machine, you go in New York, you would catch Samuel Jackson in his 30s at the theater.
Yo, bro, 100%, man, 100%. People got to get off this idea that this Insta famous thing is gonna happen. It's very, 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 very few and far between that actually strike gold. And unfortunately, when you come to a place like LA, you get lost. There's so many people here, and it's so spread out that it's hard to see, people who might have the power to do that. And you just have to be in it for the long run. For me, I'm fortunate and blessed that, I'm able to audition for Amazon and, Disney and all these big companies. But it's one of those things where I kind of just let go of the fact that I might not even get it. I might have done a good job, but they might not call me back. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of have to. You're gonna be. Skin. And we're gonna talk about, and as we talk about that, it's just one of those things where you have to embrace failure too. And so you're gonna come here. In New York too, it happens, but LA especially, because it's so overpopulated with actors, whereas in New York is more into like theater. That you're gonna run into that there's so many people here, and you're gonna get rejected more times than you can. Just for personal experience, I've been my agent since November, and yes, I've been fortunate to audition for some big companies, but I'll be honest, I haven't struck gold on anything. And so it's one of those things where your competition is big. It may not be as big as you think, just because there's a lot of people who aren't really pursuing it. They just say they are, but it's still a lot of people here who are trying to do the same thing you are. So, it's one of those things where you're going to have to just do it, and you're going to have to be in it for the long run. And you're going to have to pretty much base your life around it and make it a priority.
Yeah, so the sauce, like I mentioned earlier, is what's going to carry you through that, not the juice. Don't look at the fame and the fortune. Don't look at that. Love what you do. And if you don't really love it, then don't do it. Period. Don't do it. Do something else. Do what you love. Love what you do. It's a cliche, but it's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Because what gets me up in the morning, like, mind you, everything that I've done, like theater-wise, was practically for free. I didn't make a whole bunch of money. My dad, like, I hope you're getting paid for that. I'm like, in my head, I don't care. I love to do this shit.
Right. Exactly. And that's why, one of the biggest things I always say, and this is like my quote unquote slogan, is that you have to treat it as a business. Businesses take time to build and develop, and before revenue starts coming in and then you start, being able to live comfortably, it takes time to do this. So, things might go well sometimes.
People's problem is that they don't see that.
No.
People's problem is they don't see that. They don't see that. All they see is like the end result, which is, when they have everything. They're never there. Like, we didn't see all these actors, when no one knew who they were. I didn't see Michael B. Jordan when nobody knew who the hell he was, or, some other actor that I can't think of right now. No one sees that. And that's the problem with society. Nobody embraces the come up.
No.
The come up is like frowned upon. The come up, the grind, the slow grind is frowned upon. That's why most of the people that like support you and support me are people that I don't know. They're not the people that I would think support me. It's the opposite. It's like random.
Yeah, bro. It's a lot of I would say this. Enjoy the grind. Enjoy the journey, because, you'll learn so much along the way that once you finally achieve that, it's like it becomes something like you don't even notice, and that's why, like, for me, if, I decide if I end up booking something, it's not going to change my life, because I'm just in it to have fun and enjoy it. And, I take everything in stride. You can't come up into this business and think, I'm going to book anything and everything I want. No, that's exactly why there's a lot of homeless people here. And that's another thing to realize. There's a lot of homeless people who, who came here and had big dreams to be, Marilyn Monroe's, second coming, or, the next Don Cheadle. And then they realize that there's so much rejection in this, that you spend more time at work than you probably would auditioning and booking jobs. And so it's one of those things where you have to be prepared for that when you come in. Do your research and learn about that.
Speaking of Don Cheadle, anybody who wants to be an actor, and I saw this video, maybe you've seen it too, where he's like how, when he goes places, he has people walk up to him all the time, like, "Oh, Don Cheadle, I want to be an actor." You know which video I'm talking about? It's like a black and white video of Don Cheadle talking. Have you ever seen
watched it a while ago. I can't remember exactly.
And then he's like, "How you want to be an actor? So what are you doing? Like, are you in any plays? Are you reading anything? Like, do you read scripts? Like, what are you doing? Oh, you just want to be famous." You know what I'm saying? And then, like he said, so what happens when you get the opportunity? Then you get the opportunity, then they see that you're not really about this shit. And then you know what I'm saying? Like, once he said that, I was like, it literally changed my perspective. Like, there's a whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, different realm to being an actor. It's an everyday thing. It's a lifelong journey. You ask Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. Like, there's an interview. I forgot which interview it was specifically, but he was saying like how Get Out was just another job. He still got to work. Like, just because he may Get Out doesn't mean like, oh, I made it. He was like, oh, I still got to get another job.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Like, when you're an actor, you're like an independent contractor. You still got to get work.
Exactly. Or the money going to dry up. Money going to dry up.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially if you live above your means, like we talked about yesterday, which is a whole nother thing, and then you create a lifestyle based on that one income from like that one gig that you booked. Bro, you got to keep working. Like, it's a lifelong journey until like you're solidified and you're like Will Smith, Denzel, Wesley, where obviously you're always going to be Will Smith to somebody somewhere on this earth. But until then, and you ask Will Smith, he's still, you know what I mean? It's a lifelong journey. I'm pretty sure somebody like him will say the same thing. Because in his in the remix to Will, like the Will song, if you heard that by Jordan Lucas, he was like, "Yo, I'm only on take 2." He's 51.
Yeah.
He's like, my life is only on take 2. You see what I'm saying? Like, now he's just starting to do different types of roles. Being an actor is really like a lifelong journey. Whether you get famous or not, that separates like the real actors from like the MFs that just say that they want to do it because they want to have clout, they want to be famous, they want girls, they want all that stuff. That's not why we do what we do. Nah, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, look, man, it's the people who are most unsatisfied with life. The people who don't succeed are the ones that plan the least. There's a reason why this people doing better than others. Sometimes it's luck, but a lot of times they just plan it right. They have the right mindset and they understand that if you go into this thinking, oh, I'm about to get rich and famous, it's never going to come to you. Have you ever realized just in life in general that whenever you try to seek something out, it doesn't come to you? But when you sit back and you going about your day and not paying attention and it comes out of nowhere, that's the best feeling. That's the way to have it. And this ties to the fact that if anybody takes anything from this conversation, treat yourself as a business. And I say that because, again, you're a brand. You're an actor, of course, but it's 2020. It's time to stop thinking that you're just an actor. My agent got me doing things and, auditioning for things I've never thought I would do. I never thought I'd do voiceover work. I never thought, I'd be doing print, auditions and stuff like that. Be open-minded. You're a business. Right. Get your face out of there because there's more than one way to get to, where you want to be. But again, don't come into it that, it's big money. For instance, like I told you, I won't mention names, just out of respect for them. But, one of my closest friends, you know who I'm talking about. He's been acting longer than me. And, yes, he's, has some success. And, he's been able to live off as an actor. But he recently just kind of got his name out. And now he's enjoying that. But it took him over 15, 16, 17 years to get to that point. It's one of those things where it's not going to happen for everybody overnight. Those one-hit wonders and the overnight success thing is a pipe dream. Don't think about it like that because you're going to be spending more time crying in your bed than you are going to be enjoying life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man. That's the thing. But and I said this yesterday, I sometimes I question, the motives for a lot of people that I know that say that they want to be an actor because they didn't come from the same circumstances, that I came from. Not that I'm saying like I grew up in poverty or nothing, but shit, like I've had my dad telling me like, yo, you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still here. You feel me? Like I've just chosen like not to go to work to do plays. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's those places like that is what's going to last you 16, 17 years. Because I'm pretty sure, you know, your friend, he'll say the same thing. He'll say the same thing.
Oh.
Like, I love what I do. If I didn't love what I do, I'd be doing something else.
Oh, absolutely. Look, man, it's you have to love it. You have to be in it because you love it. And that's why I do it. I don't wake up every day praying to God I have to get this gig. Because at the end of the day, it's just a blessing just to be involved, you know, because I remember last year,
gratitude is key.
Yeah, because just last year, last August, last July, you know, I spent a lot of my times after graduating school just playing video games, hoping that something will come up. And look at me now, I'm living the dream that, you know, I never thought I would, but I went to go get it and I chased it and I came ready for it. You always have to be prepared in this business, because even if you do book something, if you're not prepared, you didn't study the script, you didn't, you know, ask the director questions, you don't know who your cast is, you don't know what the relationship, you know, break down the script. You know, you have to be prepared for this stuff. And a lot of people, they just think about the money. Yeah, they just think about the money and the fame, but they don't realize that Don Cheadle and, you know, other big name actors, they spend a lot of times reading scripts, memorizing lines, rehearsing, and, you know, putting in the work, because they realize it just as easy it is to get something, as easy not to book something. So there's a lot of reasons why you'll see actors, you'll be like, oh, I remember this guy. I remember seeing him when I was a kid in the show. And then you never see him again. It's just one of those things where you always have to be on your toes and you have to always be professional, ready to work. Because you never know when your next gig is coming. No matter how big you are, you never know when that next gig is coming.
Hey, you got to be, we're actors, but we're artists. It's a craft. Just like how if you talk to, you know, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, you know, if you talk to him, like one thing I always liked about his Mamba videos, I forgot what they were called, but basically he would break down, you know, basketball games literally to a science. And I'm like, that's how you do it. That's how you view the things that you say you want to pursue. You have to look at it that way. If breaking down a script, memorizing your lines, getting to know your cast, asking your director questions, if all of that looks and sounds like a chore, don't do it. Don't get into it.
Absolutely.
Don't get into it. Because you're wasting time. You're wasting time. I love doing all that stuff. And what's funny, I love getting drilled too. I love getting challenged by a director. So even like, you know what I'm talking about, where you could be rehearsing and then you could interpret, you know, this scene this way or this particular line one way. And the director's like, no, try it this way. And then you keeps drilling you to make you better. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Initially, like, I didn't like that, but then, like, after the fact, I'm like, wow, you know, I didn't realize how priceless that was until, like, the finished product. And, like, how far we came from where we started to where we ended up is great. There's a silver lining to everything when it comes to being an actor, but you have to view it that way. And where it starts is loving it, period.
Absolutely. Look, let me tell you, man. I was watching a video with Bill Duke, and one of the things he mentioned, and I'm living that now right now. But one thing he mentioned was when he came to LA, you know, he realized, you know, a lot of his acting buddies, you know, spend more times at the bars and, you know, going to Venice Beach and, you know, having a good time than they were trying to hustle. And that's important. You know, he spent a lot of his time reading books, educating himself, finding new ways to keep himself busy. And look at him. He made it. Where's his buddies at? Nowhere to be found. So you have to be 100% committed to this. And especially too, it's 2020. You know, there's so many ways to, you know, and this is why I say be open-minded, because think of yourself more than just an actor. So that's the reason why I don't say I'm an actor anymore. I say I'm an entertainer, because I do everything: comedy, acting, modeling. I'll do anything that I can and I feel comfortable doing to move it. Yeah, exactly. Because acting is one of those professions where it's so overly populated that, you know, even a lot of celebrity actors don't do a movie for a couple years. They might do a movie comes out this year, and then next time you see him is on screens is 2024.
A couple of years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what's funny, all these celebrities that you see on TV that you know, they do other stuff. They're not just actors. They do other stuff. Like people, like that's, you see what I'm saying? Just like how you said you're an entertainer because you do other things. That's the thing. You don't just look at yourself just as an actor and then put yourself in this one box. And then the only ways that you make money, the only ways that you stay active is just by being an actor. You're gonna be waiting a long time because, like you said, you could be doing gigs once every couple years.
Exactly.
What are you gonna do in between then? Waiting for the next thing to come?
Exactly.
Can't do that, man. Can't do that.
And one important thing I want to address too for a lot of actors, and I know especially people who got to pay rent. Make sure you find a job that understands that you're an actor first and is flexible, because for me, having an agent is one thing, but being able to go to auditions whenever they need to, whenever, there's been gigs where, a Friday night I'm in the middle of the gym and then I get an email saying, oh, you have to be at this studio for an audition at 11 in the morning. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared for anything and everything. And so be able to save money. And I say that because a lot of actors are struggling. We all are. Money isn't flying. We're not getting paid Robert Downey Jr. money from Avengers.
Right?
I wish. But have money, be comfortable, because what happens is, especially in LA, because everything is more expensive, a lot of people don't have money saved up. So they have to go to work every day, and all day. And so now you have to choose between work or an audition. But if I miss work, I won't have enough money to pay the bills.
You have a roof over your head.
Exactly.
And that's how you end up home.
I'm telling you, especially if you're going to come out here, have some money saved up. I'm not saying come out here with 50 grand, but come here comfortably to the point where, especially for me now, if I get a gig tomorrow, I can be like, I'm not going to work, because that, having that financial security and flexibility helps a lot in this business, especially until you get to that big role that kind of just takes your career to a new height. There's going to be a lot of that. You never know when the next audition is coming. You never know when the next gig is coming. And so, you might have to work a job. I mean, it's one of those things, but have the financial security to be able to be like, you know what, this job isn't working for me, or you know what, this audition is more important. You have to put your career in front of you first, more than anything. And so that's very important. A lot of actors, especially in LA, their career is second to their job because they need that job. And so,
let me re-highlight what you said, which is having a job that understands that you're an actor first. Because if you don't have a job that understands that you're going to be on the go when you need to be on the go, you got to get another job, period. Like, they got to know that about you when you get the job interview. Like, hey, I'm an actor, you know what I'm saying? And see if y'all on the same page.
Exactly.
Because if y'all not, then don't do it. Like, at my job, they know I want to be an actor. Shit, they told me, oh, well, if you ever move to LA, you could just transfer to another branch. But if they weren't like that on that type of time, then I would have to plant seeds where I could be elsewhere at a job in a situation that I can also afford to pay my bills, and they'd understand that they can work with me in terms of scheduling. Because if not, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to be an actor first. Your job is just part-time. Even if you work full-time, mentally it should only be part-time. Like, this is a means to an end.
Yeah, man, this is not a minimum wage job right here. This is it's something you have to put your livelihood behind, and you can't go into it 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because what happens is eventually you're going to take the other foot out, and then you're going to be, if that's a choice that you will have to decide. Some people just don't realize they don't want to be 35 and still struggling to be an actor, and that's fine. That's completely fine. That's against what I'm saying. But if you're going to come here, or you're trying to work and get to where you want to be ready to experience a lot of failure, a lot of downtime, a lot of disappointment. And, it's one of those things where enjoy the journey. I learn something new every day. Be open-minded, side hustle. I started this podcast mostly because it was another means to keep me busy. You don't want to be sitting at home all day wondering, when am I going to get this next audition? Go make it yourself. Go find something to do. Go find something to let your creative side out.
Yep.
And you'll be a much happier person if you do that.
Yep. That's a fact. Total agreement.
Yeah, man. It's I'm glad we talked about this because I've ran into a few actors who asked me for advice, and I'm one of those people. I'm not rich and famous or anything, but I'm doing good in life, and I try to help people because again, this business, especially the culture of LA, is a dog eat dog world. So if you're not prepared, you're not ready, you don't know what to look for, you know what you're doing, you will get left behind. And you don't want to be one of those statistics that didn't make it. You want to be one of those people that say, I can be an actor. I can't be an actor. I am an actor. And,
right.
And get just one other thing about that too, is that there's a lot of actors, I know personally who you might not know they are, but they live comfortably. They never have to work a regular job. But that's because, they're not obsessed with the spotlight. They're not obsessed with the limelight. And that's something I had to teach myself too, is that sometimes, it's not always about the glamour and the fame, because a lot of actors regret it. A lot of them wish they didn't have it. But, just to be a working actor is an achievement in itself, just for anybody. A lot of celebrities will say that just to be a working actor is a whole new ball game.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Gratitude is just the key. You know what I'm saying? Just be grateful that for the opportunities that you do have, and just be grateful for the fact that you can always create opportunity. You know what I'm saying? You can get up and do something. So even if all right, cool, you went ahead, you didn't book it, fine, or there is no opportunity, not just create opportunity. Do stuff, do something. Because, bruh, aren't there freaking like Melvin Gregg and King Batch? Yo, they started from social media, and look at them now.
Yeah,
they started from social media, and then because all right. So I a few years ago I did an audition for the New Edition story, which was on BET. You know what I'm talking about, the 3-night series.
Yeah.
When I went to the audition, on the sheet of paper that we had to fill out, because this was the first audition that I had did at the time, major audition. They asked for your social media and how many followers you had, all your social media handles. The people that they ended up you know what I'm saying? The roles that they filled out, the adult cast, like the people in our age, the guys in their 20s, they were already known. And let's say the one who did who got the role of Bobby Brown, he wasn't an actor. That was his first role ever. But you know how he got it? Because he was on social media and he already had 1 million followers before that. So they're like, oh, well, this will be lucrative for us because he's already got 1 million followers on Instagram. So what if that translates towards, when this premieres? So then the viewership is going to go up.
Yeah.
How do you think he got there? By creating his own opportunity and not just being an actor, but being, like you said, an entertainer.
It's one of those things, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something I was thinking about. I know I had a discussion on Facebook with someone about this because, a lot of people get angry about, people like King Batch who don't have any experience in acting and they take opportunities that, people who spend day in and day out in an acting class don't get. But you also have to realize too that we're in a different era of acting. This is not the 2000s where everybody was willing to pick up an unknown name. And thank God, and shout out to Netflix because Netflix is one of very few companies right now who like to hire unknown faces and give them a chance.
You never know who can pop.
Exactly. And so that's why when you watch a lot of Netflix shows and mostly TV shows and movies, that a lot of the actors you'll see on there you've never seen before. But again,
eventually they're gonna have no choice. Because one thing I said, a lot of the main actors that you see, the Will Smiths, the Lawrence Fishburnes, all the veteran actors, they can't do it forever. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come a point where they're going to become producers and directors, and they're going to do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, which they already do anyway. So there's going to come a point where there's going to be new main actors. Like Michael B. Jordan is kind of the first, one of, and he's a little bit older than we are because he's in his 30s. Chadwick Boseman is in his early 40s.
Yeah, man.
So there's going to be new faces at some point. Right now, like I said, it's still few and far between, but they're out there. It's just that they're not household names yet, but it's coming.
And you know what? Exactly like I said earlier, man, those people probably don't have to work another job ever. I mean, in terms of a 9 to 5 or regular job, they can.
Oh, like King Batch and them?
King Batch, the Netflix people, the unknown names and not the household names that people know, but people are working actors. And one thing about social media I want to get out the way too is cleaning it up, because you will realize a lot of commercials and a lot of films will check it. You might not know, but first of all, get it off of private. That's a big thing, because if nobody can see your content, then they don't know who they're dealing with. And you want to be able to promote yourself. And that's the biggest reason why you want social media. I know social media is another world of its own, but you have to have Instagram. You have to have Facebook. You have to have Twitter, because it allows people to see what you're doing and allows you to promote yourself. But clean it up, because especially if you want to work with Disney, for instance, if Disney Channel is like a company you want to work with. If you're out here, posting pictures of you half naked at the bar drinking, booze, the first thing they're gonna say is, we don't want him, because why? Your image depicts a whole new thing. And yes, acting is all about storytelling and make believe.
Right.
But they can't have someone who's on a kid-friendly show or just a family-friendly show on social media posting guns and all this nonsense. So you have to clean it up.
See, here's another, this connects to what you're saying before, and I'm connecting the dot again. So for people who are listening, so that they get it a little bit more clearly, you're a brand. So if you're selling something, you don't want it to have a trashy image. You're going to make sure that if you're selling chocolate bars, selling water bottles, that the packaging is going to be on point, because you want people to buy it. People aren't going to buy no brown, crinkled up, screwed up, fucked up plastic bottle. This is the same way you got to view yourself. I've had people who, I can't say that they overtly didn't like me, but people who will resent me for the fact that if you want to be a rapper, I should be able to tell if I'm an A&R, if I'm a record label exec, and I'm fishing around social media. Because like we're saying, social media is powerful. You never know who's looking at your social media. So make sure it's ready to go, always ready to go, queued up if somebody looks at it. I should be able to tell that you're a rapper by looking at your Instagram. Some people, they treat their Instagram like it's Tinder. People treat it like it's, whatever, other, social media dating apps, are out there. If you're an actor, I should be able to tell that you're an actor, based on, what you post, what your feed is looking like. Like you said, you can't be all up in the bar, half naked, drinking, or you look like, just Joe Blow off the street, not doing anything. Oh, but you want to be an actor, right? Yeah.
And, and the reason why a lot of people don't know this, especially this point we're talking about, is because once you get to, so now that I'm on the upper side of things, and I'm getting in the room of these bigger companies, when you do student films and feature films, sometimes they'll be like, hey, what's your social media? A lot of times that don't really influence them. They just want to see who they dealing with, just to see. But all these other companies,
they want to see if you can do the job. The social media is like a plus to it.
But when you get to this level where you're auditioning for major serial companies, for major cable networks, they will check everything. Not just because for instance, I remember I was talking to an actor who mentioned this, where he was in the front running for a TV show, and it came down to him and 4 other people, and 2 of the guys got themselves eliminated because they decided that they thought it was fun to post all this booze, house parties and stuff, and the role was for a kid-friendly show, not necessarily a Disney show, but it's a family-friendly, kid-friendly show. And so when you're posting stuff like this, and it's so easy to find people on social media, they don't want someone playing Steve on Blue's Clues out here yelling frat boys and doing cartwheels off of cars. It don't look good.
Got to line up. It's got to line up. It's got to add up.
Have fun with social media. I'm not, it's one of those things where I'm not saying you have to take your personality away, but just be careful, especially as your career starts itching up further and further. Be careful about what you post, because, they could go back, 4 years and see what you post on Facebook. And, if regular people can find it, they can find it. So
you only get away with posting, whatever the hell it is you want if you're already famous and they're asking you to do the project. Like they're asking you, like a Wiz Khalifa, you know what I'm saying? Because He's doing like a voiceover work on, I think it might be an Adult Swim show. I don't know what the name. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I saw it in passing. Like it looks like the Cleveland Brown show, but it's not. It's something else. And he's the voice on there. I'm pretty sure they don't care because he's Wiz Khalifa.
Exactly.
You don't get to see pass that famous people do. That's what people look at it. They're like, oh, well, famous people do whatever they want, so I can do that and present myself as such. No, you can't. No, you can't. There's
a reason why celebrities get better treatment than regular up and coming people, and it's sad to say, but again, we live in a society that is all about money, and they realize that a lot of celebrities, Wiz Khalifa could be smoking a fat joint on Instagram, but because he's popular, everybody knows him, and he has good songs, and he has a good strong presence, and on social media, they want him. He's not begging them to hire him.
Oh, they're asking.
Essentially, that's what we're doing. Not so much begging. I don't see it as begging, but you're advertising yourself that, hey, I know you're casting something, or you're looking for someone for this project. Give them a good reason to see why they want you. And then as you start blowing up, and people start knocking on your door, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Samuel Jackson said that until you come to a point where you're at home and you're making choices as far as the projects that you're going to start doing, you're still a working actor. You're still a working actor, and you have to present yourself as such. Period. It's just like anything else. Like if you want to work for a corporate company, they do the same thing. They check you out. That's what some people, they delete their social media before they get a job or before they go and apply for the job. So when they're in that process, there's no dirt on them. They can't look. They can't really look them up because they don't have nothing to worry about because they got rid of everything already.
Yeah, man. You just mentioned something. Oh man, I kind of blanked on it. Something that Samuel Jackson said.
When you're at home, until you're at home making choices. Making
choices. I'm gonna give you a nice little blueprint and a nice little secret. You should never say no for anything. Auditions, any jobs, anything. And I'm not saying that, if you feel very uncomfortable with it, if full nudity is something you don't want to do, and especially if you have an agent, let them know that, because they know not to, they know how to work for you. But anything. So I was telling you this, my agent had to recently drop someone, and this is when I first met them, because she went in for, she had a nice audition for a big TV show for, a guest star role, and she said no because she didn't like the age that she was going to have to play. And so you remember that? Not only did she cost herself the job, but she cost herself money, she cost them money, and it makes the agency looks bad. So be aware that when you say no to things, that you're not just affecting yourself. If you have an agent and you're in front of these casting directors, when you say no to them and you're not even Wiz Khalifa, nobody wants to work with you. And a lot of people don't realize this, but this industry is well connected. It only takes one thing for you to do wrong that people don't like, and they will tell everybody, and nobody will want to work with you. This whole blacklist thing that people mention about the entertainment business is a real thing. Unless you're already established and they want you, you're not getting away with that. So, be open-minded, and you're going to be saying more yeses than nos. It's just one of those things.
Chess.
Yeah.
That's not checkers.
Acting is unpredictable. You never know what role it could take you. You might do a role that you're not comfortable with, you never thought you'd do, and that just might be the role that launch you than a role that that you're good at. So,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
It's crazy, man. But we don't want to make this too long. Is there anything you want to share? Anything, any advice that you want to give people who still want to come up, or trying to find ways, to make themselves happy in this industry?
I just can't, state it enough, man. But it's just, and I'm probably overstating it at this point, but just do what you love what you do. If, this is what you love to do, and you find yourself, doing stuff, in your spare time, doing it for free and all of that. And then okay, so I'll just say this and then that'll be it. If in your head, ask yourself this question: if you knew that you would never be famous and you would never, be rich off of being an actor, would you be fine with doing theater shows and plays and small little things for the rest of your life? If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, I don't know, because I've walked out of theater shows and in total bliss, like this is what I love to do. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whatever, because fame and fortune again is not part and parcel, but it's just a byproduct. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not what drives me. It's not the fuel that pushes my vehicle, which is my grind. So love what you do. If you love it, keep going. If not, then pick something else. Do what you actually love to do, and don't fake it.
I think that's a good note to leave it on. And I just want to add one thing to that. When you think about these questions, whether you want to pursue acting and stuff, forget the fame, forget all of that. Can you see yourself 10, 15 years from now still pushing forward if that one big role that you were looking for never happened? If you say no to that, this is not the industry for you, because realistically, you will probably spend more time trying to get to that role than it will actually come to you. And and that's not to be mean or anything, but that's just the harsh reality of this business. When you have so many people trying to get into it, it's one of those things where you're a number, and it's just a numbers game, and luck, opportunity, and and your professionalism have to all be aligned for that to happen. And so if you don't have anything else to say, I think we bored the people enough.
Yeah. Well, as always, bruh, it's always great talking to you, man. It's always good vibes. It's always on point. It's always nice to talk to somebody who's got the same goals, on the same wavelength. And you're not a pump faker, man. So I appreciate you having me on here, bro.
Oh yeah, man. I'm gonna have to charge you $3,000 now for your self promotion at the beginning, man. What are you thinking, man? Ridiculous.
I believe I would have to pay you in Wakandan currency. Would you consider taking vibranium?
You believe this guy? Oh my god!
I do not believe I have the funds right now, but I will get back to you in the near future.
My god!
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Now that I'm thinking about this, I should have just introduced you as Chadwick Boseman and have you do the accent the whole bit.
The whole time.
Yeah, man. What
Maybe next time.
But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Welcome in my man, Wakanda Forever, Mr. Black Privilege himself. And stay tuned, stay safe, wear your face mask, and remember, a better hand is a helping hand. Stay tuned.